What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video I'm going to be going over the changes for Outlaw rogues, and there are quite a bit of changes out there. Just like the rest of my overview videos of each spec, this video is not going to tell you which talents to pick for the best DPS, or if Outlaw is better than the other two specs of DPS. This is just to show you what's to come before Battle for Azeroth comes out. So, let's get started. So these are all the baseline abilities for the Outlaw rogues, and there are a fair amount of changes. First off with Vanish, no change at all, still 2-minute cooldown, it still does the same thing, activates your stealth, whatnot. Cloak of Shadows has a nerf to it. Its baseline cooldown is going from 1.5 minutes up to 2 minutes. Crimson Vial, no change, still costs 30 energy, 30-second cooldown, heals you for 30% of your health over 6 seconds. Feint is getting a nerf, it's now going to have a 15-second cooldown, and it reduces damage from AoE effects by 40%, whereas on live it is 50%. Let's see, Blind, not changed at all, still 2-minute cooldown, does the same thing, disorients targets. Gouge is getting a bit of a nerf, it's now going from a 10-second cooldown up to a 15-second cooldown. Now Blade Flurry is getting changed pretty significantly, it's not going to cost 15 energy, as you see here, it has 2 charges, 25-second recharge. It's not like an indefinite buff you put on yourself anymore, it lasts 12 seconds, and it causes your single target attacks to also strike all nearby enemies for 45% of normal damage for 12 seconds. So I apply it, lasts on me for 12 seconds. 25-second recharge. Adrenaline Rush is not getting changed at all. Sinister Strike is getting changed. Its name is getting changed first of all. It's no longer going to be called Saber Slash. Its name was changed to Sinister Strike. Its energy cost is going from 50 energy down to 45, and its effect was changed slightly. Besides it just doing physical damage, it has a 35% chance to hit an additional target, making your next pistol shot half cost and double damage. So that's a change from it just making pistol shot free. Pistol shot is not getting changed at all. It's still going to reduce movement speed by 50%, still costs 40 energy, and it's still a range attack. Dispatch is, well, the only thing that's changing of it, its name. Because it was run through, now its name is being changed to Dispatch. Other than that, it still does the same thing. Now Roll the Bones is also getting changed. It's still going to cost combo points, 25 energy. Your finishing moves will still roll a dice, and you will get a random combat enhancement. And it lasts the same amount as it does on live, but the combat enhancements, most of them at least, have been changed, so let's go through them. Now True Bearing is one of the only 2 that have not been changed. Finishing moves reduce the remaining cooldown of many of your abilities by an additional 1 second per combo point, so that's the same on live as it is in BFA. Broadsides is also not getting changed. The only change to it is that its name is being changed from Broadsides to Broadside. I don't know what that's about, but your combo point generating abilities generate 1 additional combo point and deal 20% increased damage. That's the same on live and BFA. Now Shark Infested Waters, which we know on live, increases your critical strike chance by 25%, is getting changed to Ruthless Precision. Critical strike chance of Between the Eyes is increased by 60%, and then critical strike chance of all other abilities are increased by 20%. Grand Melee is also not getting changed, I forgot about this one, but your attack speed is increased by 55%, and your leech is increased by 25%. That's the same on live and BFA. And then Buried Treasure is getting changed, as we know it. On live, it increases your energy regeneration by 30%, in BFA, it's going to increase your energy regeneration by 4 per second. And then finally, Jolly Roger is slightly getting changed. Your Saber Slash has an additional 25% chance of striking additional time. Well, its name is getting changed to Skull and Crossbones, and then it's going to say Sinister Strike has an additional 30% chance of striking additional target. So the percentage was buffed, and then the name was of course buffed because Sinister Strike is taking over Saber Slash. And then we have Between the Eyes, which is getting an energy buff. Its energy is going down from 35 energy to 25 energy, but its cooldown is raising from 20 seconds up to 30 seconds. And then Grappling Hook is becoming baseline, so it's pretty much going to do the same thing. The only difference is that its cooldown is being increased to 1 minute, but there is a talent that lets you decrease it down to 30 seconds, which I'll be talking about talents in a moment. And then Kick, staying the same, that's your interrupt. Riposte is staying the same, defensive cooldown. Sprint is also being unchanged. Tricks of the Trade, unchanged as well. And Picklock, of course it's unchanged. Why would they change Picklock? Now let's stealth here and take a look at some of these abilities. Cheap Shot is unchanged. It's still your stun, 40 energy. Ambush is getting slightly buffed. It's going down from 60 energy to 50 energy, so that's nice. Pickpocket is unchanged. Sap is also unchanged, as you see. Distract, also unchanged. Shrouded Concealment is getting an interesting buff. The Cloak is now extended to 30 yards, up from 20 yards, so you actually probably won't be able to see it right here. Yeah, you can't see it. Why did I decide to stand on this thing? There we go. So, you can very faintly see the circle. You can see the edge of it right there, but the circle is bigger. It's a very, very big circle. Jeez, look at that. And then as you've probably been able to tell, Bribe was removed. But anyways, let's look at the passive abilities. So combat potency did get a buff. It increases your energy regeneration rate by 35%, and then your offhand attacks have a 75% chance to generate 10 energy. Fleet-footed, unchanged, your movement speed is still increased by 15% and you take reduced falling damage. Your mastery is still the same. Your main head attacks have a 30% chance to trigger an attack with your offhand that deals some physical damage. And then Restless Blades was buffed, so your finishing moves reduce the remaining cooldown of all those abilities by 1 second per combo point spent. So that's up from the 0.5 seconds that it is on live. And then Ruthlessness is unchanged. Your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point spent to grant a combo point. So that's unchanged from live. But anyways, let's look at the talents. Now here are the talents, and since PvP talents were introduced onto the beta, I'll be going over those as well, in case you care. So for the first tier, Swordmaster was changed to Weapon Master, mainly due to the Saber Slash change to Sinister Strike. Other than that, it still does the same thing, 10% increased chance to strike an additional time. Quick Draw just had its text changed due to Sinister Strike's secondary effect change, and it just says that the half cost uses of Pistol Shot granted by Sinister Strike now generate 1 additional combo point and deal 50% additional damage. That's because Sinister Strike, or what was Saber Slash, doesn't give you free pistol shots, it gives you the half pistol shots. And then Ghostly Strike was nerfed a bit and now has a 35-second cooldown, and it causes the target to take 10% increased damage from your abilities for 10 seconds, down from the 15 seconds on live. The second tier is mostly unchanged. Acrobatic Strikes is the same, it increases the range of all your melee abilities by 3 yards. Retractable Hook is new because Grappling Hook is baseline, and this will reduce the cooldown of Grappling Hook by 30 seconds, because on live it's a 30-second cooldown, but since Grappling Hook isn't on this tier anymore, they gave you a Retractable Hook. Hit and Run is the same. It increases your movement speed at all times by 15%. The third tier, Vigor is unchanged. It still increases your maximum energy by 50 and your energy regeneration by 10%. Deeper Stratagem is unchanged as well. You can now have 6 combo points, and your finishing moves consume up to 6 combo points, and your finishing moves deal 5% increased damage. Mark for Death was moved all the way up to this tier from the last tier, and it was unchanged. Still 1 minute cooldown, marks a target, instantly giving you 5 combo points, and then the cooldown is reset if the target dies within a minute. And then Anticipation, as you can see here, was removed. This tier is completely unchanged. Iron Stomach, unchanged, increases your healing received from Crimson Vial, healing potions, and health stones by 30%. Elusiveness also unchanged. Feint will also reduce all damage you take by 30% for 5 seconds, so that's also from non-AoE things. And then Cheat Death, we know what Cheat Death does, that is also unchanged. This next tier, Dirty Tricks, is unchanged. Cheap Shot, Gouge, and Sap no longer cost energy. Blinding Powder is new. It's a passive, reduces the cooldown of Blind by 30 seconds and increases its range by 15 yards. And then Prey on the Weak was changed slightly and now applies to Between the Eyes, and it no longer applies to Sap, Blind, or Gouge. And then your Artifact ability, Loaded Dice on Live, was changed into a talent since we won't have our artifact weapons anymore. And it does the same thing. Activating Adrenaline Rush causes your next roll the bones to grant at least 2 matches. Alacrity was changed slightly, and ultimately it is kind of a nerf. It's still passive. Your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to grant 3% haste for 20 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. On live, it's 2% haste, stacks up to 10 times. So on live, it's ultimately a 20% increase, whereas in BFA, that's a 15% increase. Quick maths. And Slice and Dice seems like it was nerfed a significant amount, so it was moved up to this tier, and it now increases your attack speed by 60%. Still increases your energy regeneration by 15%, but on live that's a 125% attack speed increase, whereas in BFA it's a 60%. So it's about half to now. For this last tier, Dancing Steel is new because Blade Flurry was changed. It increases the duration of Blade Flurry by 3 seconds and its damage by 5%. Blade Rush is also new, I believe. 45-second cooldown, you charge your target with your blades out. You deal physical damage to the target and then half that physical damage to all nearby targets. And then while Blade Flurry is active, damage to non-primary targets is increased by 100%. And you generate 25 energy over 5 seconds whenever you use it. And then Killing Spree was moved down to this tier and it was changed slightly. Still has a 2-minute cooldown. You still teleport to an enemy within 10 yards, attacking with both weapons for a total of that much physical damage over 2 seconds, but while Blade Flurry is active, it also hits all nearby targets for 100% damage. Now for the PvP talents. If you didn't watch my video going over how PvP talents will work in BFA, this is how it goes. You have 4 bubbles here. The first bubble is the same for all classes and specs. It has Adaptation, Gladiators, Medallion, and Relentless, which these 3 are unchanged. They're the same as on live and they were on the first tier. You get to pick between one of these 3. Now the next 3 bubbles completely depend on your class and your spec, and it's not a tier system anymore. They just put all of your PvP talents into like a giant pool that you get to pick from. So in BFA, you can pick 3 that were on the same tier in live, and most of them are unchanged. There's only, I think, 3 of them for Outlaw Rogues that were changed, and I'll be going over those. But if they're unchanged, I'm just going to say the name and then go down the list. If you want to know what they do, you can pause the video, or you can just look at your honor talents on your Outlaw Rogue. But anyways, there's Maneuverability, Take Your Cut, Control is King, Drink Up Me Hearties, Cheap Tricks, Dismantle, Plunder Armor, Boarding Party, Thick as Thieves, Turn the Tables, Shiv, which was changed slightly. Its cooldown is going from 10 seconds up to 12 seconds, but it can now dispel all enrage effects, which I believe is what Shiv did a while back when all rogues had Shiv, and it wasn't just a PvP talent. But now, as a PvP talent, it will be able to dispel enrage effects, which is nice. Then there's Honor Among Thieves, Smoke Bomb, which is new to Outlaw Rogues, because before, sub-rogues were the only rogues that could have this as a PvP talent. Now all rogues have it as a PvP talent. And it does the same thing. 3-minute cooldown, it creates a cloud of thick smoke in an 8-yard radius around the rogue for 5 seconds. Enemies are unable to target into or out of the smoke cloud. And then there's Death from Above, which used to be a talent, but is now an honor talent. It still costs 25 energy, 30-second cooldown. I believe its effect was changed slightly. It's a finishing move that empowers your weapons with shadow energy and performs a devastating attack. You then leap into the air and dispatch your target on the way back down with such force that it has a 15% stronger effect. So there you have it. Those are all of the PvP talents. And those are all of the normal talents. And there you have it. Those are all the current changes on the BFA beta for Outlaw Rogues. Keep in mind, it is a beta. Things can change before the final release, which is August 14th. That's when Battle for Azeroth is coming out. But anyways guys, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you main an Outlaw Rogue or a Rogue in general and like these changes? Or do you hate them? You can let me know in the comments below. But if you guys like this video, you can leave a like on it, sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.